Hello everyone, I'm going to start a series on programming C language. So let's start. My series, I'm taking a reference of Yashwant Kanitkar book by Let Us See. So before starting this learning or learning of language, let's first get to know why do we need to learn this language. Let's suppose you are there to drive a car, and if this car is automatic now, and that you do not have to change gear, you will just have a front gear and a back gear. When you master this car, and after that when you go for a drivery test, there you may not get the same car. You may get a car which has some manual functions where you have number of gears starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and reverse. This gear system may you may find this gear system more tedious to work on because you have already worked on automatic gear system, and coming to manual gear systems there may be some difficulties. Most of us most of you may have played a game called NFS, where the car is moving just by pressing the arrow keys of right. This arrow key is going front, left or right. But in this NFS system also there is a manual gear system. What will happen when you choose this manual gear system? You may find very difficulty in driving this car. Why is that so? Because there are some starting positions, or you can say starting things, which you need clarification about. Uh, so this is the thing which we can say it is a basic requirement which everyone should know to master this advanced requirement. Once you master the basic things, there will be no difficulty in learning this automatic system or doing anything in advance. The language C has a similar reputation. So what I want to convey is that there are three types of language system in computers. The first type of language system which we encounter is assembly language. What is this assembly language? In this assembly language, we write codes which are very nearer to machine language, which machines can understand very easily, and those who do study about microcontrollers or microprocessors, they will be encountering this language, and they would need to learn this language efficiently to program these kind of controllers efficiently. Second comes low level languages. In this low level languages, you will find the words or the type of language written to be readable by human and more easily understandable by human. But this is also nearer to machine language, which will help in communicating with machine. Third comes high level languages. In this high level languages, you will get to you may not know what this low level language is about or assembly language is about, you will directly interact with the interface. You will write codes which are more human readable, and that will really help you a lot in designing such codes which are which have more impact in our human life. But again, as I said, to master these high level languages, you need to have a basic understanding about low level languages. So C is such language which fits in this low level language, and most important thing is C was written by taking into account that we have to design operating system by Dennis Ritchie. So this is such language that when you learn about C, you will get to know very basic things about designing codes, learning logics, learning how a program works. So considering all these factors, I think we should move ahead and see what this language has in for us. So let's start with the contents. These are the contents you can go through. We'll be going ahead now. See, before learning this language, we should learn that what are the 4 important aspects of any language. This is not just about C, this is about all other languages like C Sharp, like Python, and many more. Okay, so first thing first, how it stores your data. This is very important in execution of a program. If you do not understand that how the data are stored, if you do not understand where the data are stored, you will not be able to write a code. That's simply because you need to operate on data. Let's take up, for example, you have certain applications in your mobile and it frequently asks for spaces. So if you know that whatever program you have written, it requires certain like see 45 MB of spaces where your program will be stored or your application will be stored. It will also need certain free space uh, where certain other data for real-time manipulation or calculation would be needed. Hence, it is very important to know how the data is stored. Next, the way it operates upon data. Once you have the data, you need to know how your program is going to operate on them. What are the operations available to you on which you can learn the program. Let's suppose you have two numbers like 5 and 2. You can add them, subtract them, divide them, multiply them. But what if your program doesn't provide you with an operation of multiplication? What will you do? So this is an important aspect where you need to know the way it operates upon the data. Next, how it accomplishes input and output functions. That is, how you are going to input your data to the program. Now, take for example, you have a microwave oven and you want to uh, switch it on, switch it off, set timer. There are certain ways to do it. Suppose you have a remote and you can directly, by wireless technology, you can switch the things in your remote and you will receive the input. But what if this wireless technology doesn't work here? You have to simply manually switch it on, switch it off. But like this, there are certain other kinds of input. There are certain other kinds of output. Like you have to switch on the microwave and let's see how it functions. you have to see, this is one way. Now let's suppose you want to see your output in a desktop like we are working here. So how that is accomplished? So learning about input and output functions is very much important. Fourth thing, how it lets you control the sequence of execution of program. To learn about this, let me give you an example. Suppose in a line you have three written values like 5 plus 2, then whatever the result is come, it is stored in A, then you write A minus 7, whatever the result come, it is stored in B, and you write B plus 5, whatever the result come, it is stored in C, and you have to see what output does C brings. In any language, mainly the C language we are talking about, the execution is going step by step from the first and from the second line. So first this line gets executed, whatever the value comes, it is stored in A, whatever the value in A goes, that is used here to store it in B, and whatever it is stored in here, so that the value is stored in C. But if it is jumping on execution, suppose this line is executed and directly you come to line 3 for execution, so you will not be able to operate this line, and in this case you will not know what the value of B is, so you will not get the correct output of C. That's why sequence and execution of program is very much important. So learning about the basic things, learning about the programming language and its need, let's learn what exactly is a C language and why we are here to learn it. So based on the book written by author Yashwant Kanetkar, a C is a programming language. It is developed in AT&T Bell Laboratories of USA. And as you can see, it was developed way back in 1972, and currently we are living in 2020. So this has come a really long way. A language which has survived this 5 decades really needs to be very good, where you see the basic programs, basic languages, and learn what are the things are there. So coming next, this is a person who has developed a C language, and the interesting thing is it is not developed by a team of workers, it is only developed by the single person. Now let's see for its use and the survival of C language. There are certain concepts like classes, objects, inheritance, polymorphism, templates, exception handling, and references. There are certain other concepts also. These elements need certain understanding before you learn other superior language or higher level language. So this language provides you the basic understanding of these terms, and after learning the language you should be knowing all these terms to have a proper understanding of C language. Next, this C++, C#, Java, they make use of a principle called object-oriented programming. You will learn about it in the later sections, in the later classes. However, these concepts are applied in high-level language, and you can learn about these concepts in a way easier manner here. Next, as I have already told that C language was written to write the Windows program or certain other operating systems. So if you learn the C language, you will be able to know how operating system works, and more important, these operating system needs very fast execution, and hence performance wise the C language is much better. Next, programmer use common devices like microwave oven, washing machine, digital cameras, and for its fast execution all these programs are written in C language. Now let's see what analogy does it have in learning English language and C language. This is important to have a basic concept about language, because once you understand that what is the basic logic behind these things, it will be a lot easier to help you learn the language. As you can see, there are certain alphabets, words, means you join the alphabets to form words. Similarly, you join words to form sentence. You join sentence to form paragraphs, and you communicate through these paragraphs. In a similar fashion, to write a program, you need to know what alphabets, digits, and special symbols your program offers, how you can use these combinations to declare certain constants, variables, and keywords, and to write certain instructions which can be combined to get a functional program. These are certain C character sets which you should be knowing. Now, getting to know about the terms like constants, variables, and keywords. A constant is an entity that doesn't change, while a variable is an entity that may change. We are learning about certain constants. So let's see for the examples that how they are made, what they are, and how we can use them. In C, you will get to know about the primary constants and secondary constants, like integer, real, and character constants. These are single term constants which are modified, combined to get multi-term constants. So here we have array, pointers, structure, union, enum. You will get to know about these things in later sections. So let's see rules for constructing integer constants. Here we have an example of integer constant, very basic and simple example, and here are certain rules about it. It should have at least one digit. It must not have a decimal point, otherwise it will be treated as a real constant. It should be either positive or negative. If you do not write any sign up in front of it, it will be treated as positive. Otherwise, you have to specify negative sign to be treated it as negative. No commas or blanks are allowed, as we have learned in our prior classes that we write certain numbers like 4289. Here we use comma, but such things are not allowed in C. Now here we come about range. So let me discuss a few things about this range. This is for a 16-bit compiler. What I want to discuss is that here let's create a 16-bit compiler. Eight here. Some bits may be lost or whatever. So this first compartment in a 16-bit compiler is used for signed reference. We use this for signed reference. So we are left with only 15 bits to be used in a range. Hence, our range is coming from minus 2 to the power 15 to 2 to the power 15, and we reduce one number to accommodate 0. So this is the range for 16-bit compiler. If we change this number, if we use 32-bit compiler, 64-bit compiler, So we just have to change this number. So in a general term, for an n-bit compiler, you have a range from -2 to the power n minus 1 to 2 to the power n minus 1 minus 1. So this is the general range. Now learning about the real constants. Here you have the example of real constant where the numbers are written with decimal points. It is a simple visible difference which you can see. There are certain other numbers, so we will learn about this. Similar rules follow as was followed in integer constants about real constants. The default sign is positive. It can either be positive or negative. It must have a decimal point, otherwise it will be treated as real constant. It will be treated as integer constant. This can be written in two forms, fractional and exponential. These are certain rules. So let's come about this example. Sometimes a number is very large. So to write that large number, we need to write it in a form where it can be easily understood. So the first number 3.2e5, 3.2e minus 5. This number will be read as 3.2 into 10 to the power of minus 5. Now this number is a large number to write when you use certain decimal things. So you directly write it in this form, and this is called exponential form. Here exponential form doesn't means that you will be using the power of e. Here you use the power of 10. So the part before e is called mantissa. There's a part following e is called exponent. So these are the real constants. Coming to rules for constructing the character constant. Character constant is generally only one word like a, I, 5 symbols. These are particular symbols which you can use as character. One important thing is that if you are using a character constant, you should use the left inverted comma in both sides. It should not be that one left inverted comma or one right inverted comma should be there. This is not allowed in C. So this is a valid character, whereas this is not a valid character. Now after learning about constants, we see what a variable is. So in any language, as we can see, the type of variables that it can support, it depends upon the type of constants that it can handle. Like if you are working with integer constants, you have to work in integer variable. If you are working with real constant, you have to work in real variable. Okay, so as we have learned about the constants, their rules and what they are, let's see what rules is used for variable constant. Generally, they whatever the important thing about variable is that same type of variable can only use same type of constant. So all the rules are basically same. Here we can see a variable name is a combination of 1 to 31 alphabets. So here we have SI MHRA as variable name. Why these are variable? Because it can store any number, whatever is fed into it. Suppose for one line of code, SI is written as SI is equal to 2, and for other line of code, SI is written as SI is equal to 3. So whatever lines are written in between these two, before the execution comes here, SI value will be treated as 2. However, after the execution line of this is completed, so SI value will be treated as 3 after all the lines after this code. So This is the basic function of variable. Now, as you can see there, you can write any variable constant, and based on compiler you can write 247 character in a variable name, but you should avoid writing large variable names, because that will become tedious in writing codes, because you will have to use those variable names in your codes at multiple locations. However, you can write those variables in abbreviation so that you will be able to easily understand what that variable is for. Like you have to write principal, so do not write it as A, B or C, because you may forget after large number of lines of codes that what this A variable is for. So if you write principal, you will be having certain idea that I am using this as principal, I am using this as rate of interest or number of years, but you may forget that what this A, B or C is there. If you are writing a code of 10 lines, then it is easy, but in real-time applications, you may be writing the codes of 1000 lines, 1500 lines, and in that you really need to know what variable you are using, what it is for. So some rules are there that first character in the variable must be an alphabet or underscore. You cannot start a variable by number. So A1, it is a valid variable. 1A is not a valid variable. No commas or blanks are allowed. This is very simple. No special symbol other than underscore. And compiler distinguish between different variables name, like what this variable is as in real, integer or character, by assigning certain name to it. So these names, int, float and char, these names are predefined in C language, which gives a compiler notification that whatever variable used here will be integer constant. It will not be a real constant. So in SI, you will not be able to save 2.0. You will only be able to save 2 because it is an integer constant. Similarly, in Bessel, you will be able to save 2.0 and other floating numbers. So this is a real variable. In character variable, you will be able to store whatever value, like in code, if you want to store something, then you have to store it is in inverted comma A. You cannot store more than one words, as for the rules of character constant was there. Now let's learn something about the keywords. As I told you about int, float and the word char in previous slide. So there are certain other keywords which finds their own application, and these keywords will help you in making your program more easier. So keywords are the words whose meaning has already been explained to the C compiler. You will be using these keywords and making your program more easier. These keywords cannot be used at variable name because they already have been assigned, and whenever you write these keywords, compiler will automatically treat this word with their intrinsic meaning. You will not be able to change it. These keywords are also called reserved word. There are 32 keywords available in C. However, certain compilers add additional keywords for their own simplicity, or to make their program more, you can say, more sophisticated. So as you can see, there are certain keywords like near, far, ASM, which are declared in certain compiler vendors. However, this ANSI is an organization which looks into these standards. So they suggest that if there are certain other keywords which are introduced other than these, then they should be followed with 2 underscore. But as you can see that not everyone follows the rule. So learning about the basic things, I think we should go and see how our program is there, how our program functions. So we will be writing codes in the compiler, we will be running it and seeing what the output is there. Before writing the code, I want to tell you about certain things. These are: any program starts with main. You have to write main before a program. This main is called function. There are You will be reading about functions more, but as in mathematics, you see, a function is an entity which takes certain input and it gives certain output. Here, main is not declared with any kind of variable, that what this variable is. So by default, it is treated as void. Void is a kind of keyword which has its predefined meaning, and it means that nothing is there. So this main function do not takes any input. So if it does not take any input, it does not have to give any output. However, if you use this main with the word int, so it will be taking something as input. What input is taken? It is given in this parenthesis. So in this parenthesis, if you define certain numbers, certain words, so here those input goes. And when you write this int, you have to include a line at the end of program as return 0, because you have written an integer main, like integer function main. So it is taking an integer input, so it must give an output which has to be an integer. So this return 0 is written at the end of program to make it functional. Now any function starts with this middle braces and it ends with middle braces. This is an indication of a starting of program, and this is an indication of an ending of program. So whenever you write a function, you have to start with parenthesis, this middle braces, and you have to end with middle braces. It is not just for this main function, it is for any function which you will be using in future classes. Now see this line. Here we have used this word int. As I have already told you, this int is the integer variable. So these variables will be having integer values. As you can see here, certain integer value have been assigned to this variable. These are constants, integer constants. You have also declared a real variable. Here you have integer variable. Here you have real variable. Now these are real variable. Now see, R is assigned with the value of real constant. What about this? This is a line called comment. We write comments to make user understand, or not specifically user, to make other programmer understand that what this code is really for. Suppose we exclude this line in the program. So directly we are seeing that there is certain P which is assigned 1000, N which is assigned 3, R which is assigned 8.5, and you are assigning Si as the real variable, certain number which has this formula. Now if you do not know about what this formula is, for a basic mathematics student, you would be knowing that this is the formula of simple interest. But what if you are using some other formula like Einstein's theory of relativity, where you do not know what the terms are there for? So you should be giving certain comments to make other programmer understand what this program is for, because in future uh, you will not only be doing codes by yourself, you will be taking help of other programmers, or you will be working in a team, and everyone should be knowing that what exactly you are working on. That's why it is advisable to write these variable names with certain understanding of what exactly it means. Suppose you have written here P. If you would have written here A, then that would have been difficult to understand. Now, P here, you may be understanding that this is principal, this is number of years, this is rate of interest. So you are starting those P and R words to make this program look much easier. Now see, you have calculated a simple interest based on these values. So how do you know that this is the simple interest? You need certain output of it. So this output is given by a function called printf. As I have told you, a function is given with a parenthesis. However, in this function, you do not write anything extra. So you do not have to assign this braces. You simply end the code with semicolon. As you can see, an interesting thing that every line is being ended with a semicolon. In C language, the semicolon is very important. This indicates that your code for that line is ended. If you do not end it, the C will continue to compile it for a long time, and it will give you an error because there is no end. So to end a line, you have to write this semicolon to signify that this line is ended and you are starting on a new line. If you give a blank line in between, then that has no meaning. So for simplicity of program, you should be writing in such a way so that it is easier to read. Now coming about this printf function. This printf function helps you in knowing that what exactly is the value of SI. This will print the value of SI in your output window. So when you run this code and see what output it gets, you will get the value of SI, which is calculated with this formula. Now this SI is a real-time variable. So here is a format for writing the real-time output. You have to write this printf function is having a certain format in which you always start with parenthesis if you want to write something, and here you write whatever lines you want to write. Okay, these are the lines which you want to write. You have to close this parenthesis, and if you want to write certain variable output, you give a comma, and since this variable is of real variable, so you have to write f before at the place where you want to show this output. Suppose you want to show that my output is like simple interest is %f parenthesis this double inverted comma and SI. Now suppose this %f is written in the start here. So your simple interest variable will be first printed here, and after that this line of code will come. I will show you in the program, but for understanding this is the thing. One more important thing is that this printf function has not been defined in C language. So to use this printf function, you need a header file. A header file is something which carries the definition of these kind of functions which you use in your program. So this is it, and let's see our program and let's start coding from our compiler. I will be using Dev C++ compiler, and you can use whatever compiler you want, but for the time being and for this for the interest of this session, I will be using Dev C++. Thank you. See you in next session.